Zarth is a rich game to catch transients from ZTF. When you enter the game, you are in a sky map like app. As you move around, you find that there are other kinds of things that you can also see. What are these? What you can do is you can find out about them by going to the top right menu and going to guide. That tells you that there are four kinds of transients that are in here and two more ambiguous types of transients. There are hosted transients and nuclear transients, both associated with galaxies, and orphan transients and variables, both not associated with galaxies. And the wild type 1 and the wild type 2 are the ones which have ambiguous classifications. And the way to look for transients, as you saw, you can move around in the sky, locate them, and then catch them. But if you can't find any easily, what you can do is that you can go to the search button, type T or transient there, and it will take you to one of the transients. So once you have seen how to do this, then you can go back and again move your phone to find some of these. But if you don't want to move your phone around, you can also click to go to this menu item where you can click on the right hand side button and then scroll the sky with your finger like I'm doing. And then that button toggle, so toggling it again will allow you to go to these transients. So now that we are seeing one of the transients, you can click on that and then it reveals to you what is the magnitude, what is the type of the object. In this case, it is a hosted transient. And then it tells you that it has a cost and some points. What does that mean? So every day you get a quota of 2000, and from that quota this cost will be deducted if you catch this transient, and in return you'll get the points that are shown here, and the telescope button is what you use to catch it. But if you want to take a moment before catching it, then you can click on more info to find out about the object. Oh, this is an interesting transient with likely supernova in that galaxy with a beautiful rising curve initially and then going down. And the top three cutouts that you see indicate what the science image was, how the object looked yesterday. The middle reference image shows how a stacked image was from before, and the third image is how the difference between them looks. The time series or the light curve below tells you how the brightness of the object has been evolving. And the two buttons below, again, we have a catch button here also, which on the left you can click it and catch it, and the button on the right is the standard share button. When you click on it, it catches the transient first and then allows you to share it by email or Instagram or Facebook or what have you. But what is this catching? Why would you try to catch a transient? Because one of the aims of the game is to do a transient collection and you can compete against others. So suppose I catch transient. What happens is that at the top right, the box that you see, it shows how many points I have gathered and how much credit I have remaining for the day. The credit resets every day at 0 UTC. So in Pasadena currently it will be around 5 p.m. And the menu at the bottom leads you to various leaderboards. So the rightmost one, for instance, tells me who is leading in this weekly leaderboard. What is a weekly leaderboard? So every week at Friday 5 p.m., which is equivalent to 0 UTC between Friday and Saturday, the weekly leaderboard resets and you can start quickly climbing onto it because it's blank at that point. And then during the week, more people come in and then it gets populated. And then next Friday, again at 5 p.m. Pasadena time, currently it will get reset. But there is also another leaderboard, the all time leaderboard, which is the button next to the weekly leaderboard, which has the leaderboard since the game started, which was as of now only 2 weeks back. July 12, 2023 is when we released it, and you can see that there is a separate leaderboard that is overall and hosted and orphan transients and nuclear transients and variable transients and wild type 1 and wild type 2, so for each of the types. And at the top you can also see how many points you have gathered by catching how many of those transients. There are a couple other buttons there. The third from the right is the gallery. It shows the light curves of the transients that you have got. So these you can share with others and then also look at later on whenever you want to. The fourth button in that menu from the right indicates your collection in general, the name of the transient, the ZTF name, and the date when you caught it. The fifth button from the right or the second from the left shows you the distribution of today's transients. There are 20 hosted, 11 nuclear, 8 orphan, 43 variable, 3 wild type 1 and 7 wild type 2 for a total of 92. Every day there are typically between 40 to 200 transients. And the number below, max points achievable, 16,290. What does that mean? Remember, you have a credit of 2000, and within that credit, you cannot catch all these transients. Each transient has a certain cost and certain number of points, and that ratio is what is important to you. If you try to maximize the number of points that you can get within the credits that you have, then this is the number that you can reach today. It was arrived at by using the standard knapsack algorithm, and this way you can compete against the theoretical maximum as well. So the numbers at the top right are indicating how many you have caught given the credits that you have used so far, 2000 minus 1465 right now. So this way you can compete against the game in a given day, or using the leaderboards you can compete against other people as well. So these are the basics of the game, and you can have fun playing it many different ways, but the main thing is really learning about these different kinds of transients. You get to learn about hosted transients, you get to learn about nuclear transients, you get to learn about variables, you get to learn about orphan transients, and also the ambiguous ones. Right now this is outreach only, we don't expect anything back from you, but by looking at these you can also think of the way in which these objects work as a group, as a family, and then you can provide that feedback to us as well, or to other astronomers if you wish. Similarly, teachers can introduce this in the classroom by getting their students to study specific kinds of transients in a given week. For instance, one week you could study only nuclear transients, one week you could study only hosted transients with a lot of beautiful supernovae, and so on. So you can again see this happens to be the same one that I got before. This is a variable here now. And what you can see here is on the x-axis is days ago. On the right hand side, you see the number 0. 1500 days is roughly 5 years. So over 5 years, how the brightness of the object was changing is what you can see here. So for each of the object, you are going to see the cutouts and how the brightness changed as a function of time. So have fun playing Zarth, share it with others. On Android Play Store, you can find it by typing the word Zarth, ZARTH, which stands for ZTF Augmentative Reality Transient Hunter. Share it with others and have fun playing.